Hello and welcome to Sideways. You know, on a morning like this, when it's -4 outside, absolutely freezing, it's very easy to be motivated by getting away from the pain of being out in the cold and just deciding to stay in bed for a bit longer. But it's much more beneficial, more sustainable, more helpful if you can find the motivation to get towards some sort of pleasure. The pleasure of being out in the fresh air, breathing in that cold, clean air, and then getting home into the warm and making a lovely hot cup of coffee. And that's what we're talking about this week. Motivation. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm just saying I'm pleased to see that you're motivated this morning.
Oh, exactly, yeah. It looks like my video's frozen. That's a big problem.
Yeah, you've gone, it has, and you look sort of, your face is cartoon-like.
It does look like that, doesn't it?
And you've got a huge black halo.
I know, isn't that weird?
Yeah, I don't know what would be the significance of a black halo?
I don't know. It's like an anti-angel.
Yeah, well, that'd be about right for you, wouldn't it?
I'd be happy with that. Yeah, well, I was just trying to log on, and Zoom were doing all sorts of updates, so it took a while to get on. Now they've updated it, and they've broken my video by the looks of things.
Well, let's hope we don't have another technical issue this week.
Well, that was a bit of a problem, wasn't it? Eh? Well, I don't know what happened. Do you?
Yeah, I do know what happened.
Okay.
What happened was, well, actually, if you read my blog this week, you'll know exactly what happened. But I'll give you the very truncated version, which is basically it didn't save.
Right. Okay.
And because it wasn't until Wednesday that I sat down to edit it and realised that I didn't have anything to edit, it was too late to do anything about it.
Oh, right. Okay. No, that's fair enough. I've had to sort of remotivate myself to get ready for this. That's for sure.
I didn't find it difficult to forget everything we talked about. So to me, it's like coming to it fresh.
Well, I was going to ask you that if I bring up some good points, can you say, "Oh, that's a good point, Martin. Well done, you," like that?
I don't think I said that the first time.
No, you didn't know, but I think to try to add some realism back into it.
I could do. I'll tell you what I did do, though, which one could argue was completely unnecessary. Yeah. And that is that when I was thinking about what I'm grateful for this week, I changed what I'm grateful for, which, of course, I didn't need to because people wouldn't have heard what I was grateful for last week.
No, that's true. And in fact, when I was looking at my notes, I've had to change. I've kept my gratitude entry the same. I've had to change days of the year. Obviously, we're a week different, and on this day in music.
Quite right. I mean, I personally, I felt as if it was unethical for me to keep the same gratitude. I felt as if I was shortchanging the listener.
But anyway, we want to talk about motivation, don't we?
We do want to talk about motivation, yes.
That was another one of your ideas that you come up with lately. It's very relevant to everyone, isn't it? Not just those in the recovery community, because we all have times when we lack motivation to do things. Yeah,
we all need it to do things as well. Although I've got something that I didn't have last week, which is a couple of questions for you about motivation.
Okay, well, we'll come on to that, shall we? Before we start on motivation,
yeah,
just a couple of points. There's a doctor on BBC Breakfast TV recently.
Yeah,
well, he was talking about dry January, and I know. I don't think either of us are big fans of that, and we've discussed that before.
Well, I've come round to it a little bit, actually, as a result of some of the reading I've been doing around the topic, but I know that's not... Yeah. I don't want to steamroller your anecdote.
No, and it's... Well, he has done dry December as well, this doctor. So in fact, he wanted to have a bit of a run-up to it, and he was saying how much better that he feels after giving up the booze. And he used a phrase which I quite like, which is that society auto-enrolls us into the drinking culture.
Yeah, very true.
And you effectively have to opt out.
Yeah, and it's very true, and it's also quite difficult to opt out, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I think there was there's been a sort of an opposition set up to dry January. I think it's by one of the distilleries, and they're calling it Ginuary. To try to try and encourage more people to drink gin during this month.
Now I am very against that. Certainly.
Well, quite.
Anyway, never mind that.
Just another little bit of feedback from last week's episode, the real episode before, where we did one on And what's emptiness on that one?
You mean a fortnight ago?
A fortnight ago, yeah. And we talked about one of the days of the year was gifting an apple day.
Yes.
And we wondered if that still happened with teachers, because that was sort of, almost cliched, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And Lizzie came back to me, my youngest is a teacher, and she said, no, she's never been given an apple.
Right. I see. I think probably, and it's a shame she's not here to confirm or deny this. I suspect they're probably given things like mugs, chocolate,
loads
flowers,
of
toiletries, probably.
Well, no, it's strange how much she doesn't drink, Lizzie, or very, very rarely, but she gets given quite a lot of drink as well, which she uses to re-gift. I mean, that's it's not an issue. But yeah, lots of chocolate.
Well, that's not a bad thing, is it?
It's not a bad thing. No, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we crack on with the subject matter.
Yeah, go on.
Because I want to look at what demotivates us and then how to overcome that demotivation.
Oh, yes. I remember. Okay, so I'll pretend that we haven't had a conversation about the distinction between willpower and motivation.
We'll forget that, okay?
Yeah, although I probably will have to bring it up again.
You'll have to bring it up just to clarify it, won't you?
Yeah.
Anyway, several points on here.
Yeah.
Looking at first of all, what demotivates us. Fear came up quite often in the bits that I was looking at. Scared of moving out of the comfort zone. So we stay where we are. So it stops their motivation to move on.
Yeah. Yeah. You see, I see that as a willpower thing.
Yes.
Because
did you want to bring that up now then?
I will, because if you're, to me, maybe other people can think about this and maybe you'll disagree, but to me, motivation is the why. Why do I want to do this? Why do I want to achieve this? Why do I want to stop this?
Yes.
And fear is nothing to do with the why. Fear is something that might stop you propelling yourself towards that goal, which is why I think that fear is more about willpower. And I think willpower and motivation often are confused. So I'm just trying to think about how fear might actually affect motivation. I suppose it could do. I suppose the way that fear affects motivation is that if you want to do something, you're clear about the why. The fear might come in when you doubt your ability to do so.
I think that's right. And I think when we're looking at later on in my notes, how fixing lack of motivation, we're looking at that why really more. But I think, it is that moving out of the comfort zone, isn't it? We're a little bit fearful of doing that. A lot of us are. And so if a task is ahead of us, which is outside of our comfort zone, we do lack a bit of motivation to get there. So I think that's where the notes led to there.
So it's like a fear of failure then?
It is to a large extent. We've done that before. We talked about that before, haven't we?
We have, and that is a big thing, isn't it, in moving into sobriety?
It is. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's massive.
One of the things that will stop you getting sober is feeling that you might have to stay sober, and that will be too difficult.
Well, you just think you can't do it. I think that's too big a task. I'm not going to be able to do it. I won't bother. Right.
So I'll ask one of my questions of you now, because it fits here.
Okay. Nicely.
So if you were to sum it up, how would you describe what your motivation was to get sober? Because it seems to me that people who are drinking, who are active in their addiction, one of the things they lack is a very clear idea of why do I want to get sober, or why do I want to stop using drugs or whatever.
That's a good question. The answer for me personally is very easy, but it's not. I can't answer for anyone else on this. I think
you don't. But that's the reason. The reason I asked the question is because I think it's important that people understand the uniqueness and the personal nature of the answer to that question. Like we've spoken before about how, in many respects, self-help doesn't work because we try and use someone else's experience and overlay it for ourselves, and that's no good. But what I think is useful is understanding, in some cases, how specific and personal our reasons are for doing something, because then it helps us to look inside ourselves to find our own reason. So what was yours?
My reason was because I had cancer and they wouldn't treat me. I had an aggressive form of cancer that was going to kill me quite quickly if I didn't get sober. They wouldn't operate on me. because I wouldn't survive the surgery if I was still drinking. So that was a massive motivation for me.
Yeah.
Well, I got to that point. So I suppose most people's motivation for giving up drinking is normally we get to that point where it starts to get pretty much life or death.
Yeah, and you'd reached that point.
I'd reached that point, and I see a lot of people come into groups where they're right on that brink, and it's. I think I've talked about it before when I remember a girl came in and her doctor had said to her, "Look, the way you're drinking, you've only got a couple of more lapses left in you." And to her, that was it was brilliant. Well, at least if I've got two, then I can crack on. I'm going to crack on drinking, and then I'll give up at a later stage. So that sort of illustrates where addiction will take you. They take you right to the end, and that's the point we try and get across. We don't need to get there, but it's very difficult to get the motivation to do it without getting there.
Yeah. So your motivation really to get sober was you wanted to stay alive.
That's it.
And correct me if this is wrong, but I've got a feeling that even the thought of needing to stop drinking in order to stay alive didn't come to you immediately, did it? It took a little while.
Yes, it did. You're absolutely right. Because in my mind, I thought, well, giving up drinking's too tricky. It's too tough. I'm not going to be able to do that. And dying of cancer is probably a better way of going to it, looking from the outside in. Yeah. It's more, I can't think of the word I'm trying to look at there, but it's a more
it's more honourable.
Honourable, that'll do. That'll do as a word. It's a more honourable way of dying than out through alcoholism, cancer. You get taken out by that. That's all right. So I was going to go down that route and just crack on with the drinking until it happened.
Yeah.
Anyway, right, you're throwing me off my notes here, aren't you? Going all off-piste.
Yeah, well, you know me.
I do. And the second point actually was things that can demotivate is feeling overwhelmed. Now we've got that on. I don't want to go too far into that, but we've got that on the list to do for a future episode on feeling overwhelmed. But often, if we end up having too much on our plate, we can end up doing nothing, can't we? The tasks ahead seem too vast, and we just leave it. And certainly for us drinkers in the days. Back in the day, it would have been, right, I'll tell you what, the way I'm going to deal with this, I'm just going to drink about it and forget about it. Yeah.
So the task might seem too big, or there might be too much going on. You're right.
Absolutely.
So that's you were talking about comfort zone, stretch zone, and so on. I think it's important to recognize that one of the reasons we feel overwhelmed is because outside of our stretch zone, which we all need to operate in because it's the thing that keeps life interesting, there's something beyond that, which is panic. Yes. And if you're trying to tackle something that sits in panic, which is outside of stretch, you've only really got two choices. You've either got to get rid of it and say, I don't want to do it. Or you've got to say, right, if I do want to do this, then I need to break it down into pieces so that it feels more like a stretch rather than something that fills me with panic. So I suppose that's one of the reasons why, and it's kind of a poor example in some respects because we know it doesn't work, but it's one of the reasons why sometimes when someone's in active addiction, they try and cut down.
Yes.
Because what they're doing is they're trying to make something that makes them feel panicky. They're trying to make it into more of a stretch, but of course it doesn't, it doesn't really work. I mean, maybe some people have done it, but we know that on balance, people don't successfully do that.
They don't, but it's a good point, Graham. Well done, you.
Thank you. I think the example I used last time was I said, imagine you wanted to cycle around the world, and I invited you to cycle around the world with me, and you told me that your bike had been stolen. We've changed the ad libs, which we recorded. The lost episode was different to this one, wasn't it? We're not replicating it word for word. In fact, we're quite a long way from that. We are. It's like the Tony Hancock lost episodes, isn't it? It'll come to light at some point. Probably less funny. It will come to light, won't it, at some point? Well, probably it's out there in the ether somewhere. Right. The next point was trying to please everyone. We talked about people pleasing before, but often we can realise it is impossible to please everyone and end up, again, doing nothing. Yeah. So if you're a people pleaser, the reason that you struggle for motivation is because you're not really thinking about what you want or need. No. You're always thinking about how it fits in relation to how it will affect other people. So you kind of, one of the things we've spoken about in the past is how you have to be selfish in your recovery. Yes, we have. Yes. And so very true. So if you're not able or willing to be selfish enough to say, actually, I've just got to do whatever I've got to do to get myself clean, sober, and there's too much influence of what other people need from you, then that is going to stop you from finding the motivation to get sober.
Indeed, it leads on to the next point quite nicely. Is talking about setting goals, which we touched on earlier on, was about if you set goals based on your social self rather than your essential self, i.e. what pleases society rather than what pleases you. And I hadn't really thought about that until I did my research, but I think that's quite a good point.
It is. It's part of the same thing, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
How do I only see myself in the context of my social group, or do I see myself as first and foremost an individual? If you think about, not thinking about destructive or negative things you want to do, but if you want to do something positive for yourself, sometimes you do have to be selfish and single-minded about it. That's a reality. Sometimes it'll upset people around you. It might even, cause friction in your most essential relationships.
Yeah.
But, that's the way it is.
Yes. We have to grasp that nettle sometimes. You're right. The next point was about a lack of challenge. Or rather, too great of challenge, and then that fear that we talked about earlier becomes too great and saps their motivation. Or if the challenge is too small, we quickly get bored and struggle to stay motivated.
Yeah.
If all challenges were in that sweet spot in between, that would be fine, but they rarely are they?
No, they're not. And that's I hadn't really thought about that one. So something, when you set yourself a goal, and actually I suppose that's similar to answering the question, why do I want to do this?
Yeah.
And actually the why is not really congruent with your life. It's like, it doesn't push you hard enough, for example. It's not really engaging you in a way that makes you feel you want to find the willpower to get it done. Yeah. I can't think of an example now, but I'm sure there are lots.
There might be one in the Lost episode.
Probably is. Well, I'm not sure how much that's going to help us.
Probably quite a good one, but we'll leave it there. We'll go on to the next point, which was grief. Obviously, because that can trigger, like depression, kind of, and self-loathing, etc. So, grief can stop us in our tracks doing all sorts of things, kind of, and certainly motivating us going forward to do positive things. That can be a real task at that point. Yeah,
because grief tends to be all-consuming.
Yeah.
And when it's all-consuming, you can't really see anything other than your grief. You can't find a why for anything else. It's like, in some cases, when it's very, very bad, you can't imagine next week, let alone next month or next year. And so trying to create the inertia and the energy to go towards something significant, you just haven't got the energy. I mean, that's the other thing about grief. It's absolutely exhausting.
Yeah, it's sapping, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, I thought of an example of something that is kind of too small to engage.
Oh, okay, go on then. Well, yeah, good.
It's re-recording this episode last week. Because I could have said to you, couldn't I? On Wednesday morning, I could have said to you, I've lost the recording. We haven't got the recording. Shall we just, get on a call this evening and do it again?
Yeah.
And actually, the reason I didn't do that is because I thought, I probably was thinking to myself, doesn't matter, does it? It's just a week.
Yeah, quite.
Who's gonna suffer because of that? Nobody. And so I think that probably is an example of something where the motivation, I knew what the why was, but the why wasn't compelling enough.
No, it's fair enough. I re-put one of our old episodes back on Facebook, and I think some people listened to that. So it's all right.
You did. It was the one about anger, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Yeah. The next point on here about what demotivates us can be loneliness, lack of connection, which is vital in recovery. Because, when we are lonely, we're sitting on our own, it's very difficult sometimes. Sometimes it's quite nice to have someone else around, or you're in a group of people which can motivate you. Yeah,
I agree. If you feel lonely, quite often one of the attendant emotions you have with loneliness is hopelessness and helplessness. And it's or pointlessness probably is better.
Yes.
And so you might say to yourself, oh, what's the point?
Yeah.
And it's true that one of you might be coming on to talk about this. I can't remember. But one of the ways in which we generate a kind of maintain motivation towards an objective is getting other people involved.
Yes.
So if I was
Absolutely,
doing this
yes.
podcast on my own every week, I probably wouldn't bother doing it. But because you expect it, and then it's probably the same for you, you know, we have this
True.
day, Sunday morning, we do this.
Yeah.
We kind of keep it going because as much as we're doing it for ourselves, we also don't want to let one another down.
Exactly. No, I agree. So that is the connection part there, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, in a nutshell. But
Yeah.
we didn't want to go the other, push ourselves too far where we end up with burnout.
Correct.
Which I don't think we'll ever get there, will we, you and I?
That'd be funny, wouldn't it, if we got burnt out from doing the podcast? We could do an episode on burnout that we'd got from doing a podcast on mental health.
Yeah. Well, it's a convoluted way of coming to the end game there. But I think burnout, pushing yourself too hard, I think perhaps you and I may have got a bit of that back in the corporate days where you just feel exhausted by it all, and your motivation to go to the next step. And I think, you know, if I've seen people with like sales targets, you know, they get to the end of the year, they've just managed to work their butt off to get their sales target. Suddenly the next year, the manager calls them in, right, these are targets for this year coming, greatly increased, you know, and then you think, oh my God, you know, I don't know how I'm going to do that. So the motivation then can be sapped from you. Yeah.
That's a great example, actually. As you know, my son works in sales in the city, in financial sales, which is, you know, that's pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
And I probably haven't given him very much useful advice in terms of his corporate career, but I think one of the things that I always felt was very important with regard to targets was never argue with them. You know, whenever I used to be given my target, it was just as you said, you know, no matter how much I'd achieved last year, and the next one would be 10% higher or whatever.
Yeah.
And my attitude was always, I'm not going to change it. It's like arguing with a referee. I'm not going to change it. And all I'm going to do is give myself a kind of poor reputation as someone who's a bit of a moaner and a bit negative. I just used to take it on the chin and think to myself, I'll do the best I can, see what happens.
Yeah.
So I think that was probably one of the ways in which I protected myself from burnout. There are probably other ways that I didn't, but that's right, because we said we ought to do an episode on burnout, and you said you didn't think there was enough material.
Well, now we're talking about it, there may be.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. Yeah,
we can make an episode of anything, really, can't we?
Well, history would suggest that is the case.
Well, quite. The last one on the demotivational list was stress, which again can lead on quite nicely from burnout, really, and other mental health conditions that can manifest itself.
Yeah, all of those things, really. Any sort of situation you find yourself in emotionally, mentally, where you feel like you're at capacity or you're exhausted, you're not going to bother to find a why to move forward, are you? You're working as hard as you can to keep your head above water, and in situations like that, it's pretty hard to be motivated, because I can't remember where I brought this point up last time, but there are only two motivation strategies we ever use in our lives: the motivation to get away from pain, or the motivation to get towards pleasure. And those few things that you just spoken about there, our motivation in situations like that is almost inevitably going to be to get away from the pain that we're experiencing. It's like with, if you're in active addiction, you know, you'll probably have a lot of motivation to get away from the misery and the pain and the chaos. But you only really get traction when you move your focus towards what you want to get, what you want to achieve, where you're going. So when you can create a kind of clear idea of what you want your life to look like. So instead of, I don't want to be in this pain, but where do you want to be? If you can create a clear picture of where you do want to be, it tends to give you more energy, more purpose, and help you to get there more easily.
That's a good point. And I think that, I remember you saying that last week when we were recording this, and I thought, that is I could relate very keenly to that, especially moving away from, because it reminded me of why peer support groups work. Because they, there's people in there to motivate you. So this is what I've done. This is how I've done it. But this is where I am now. And it gives people a bit of a purpose, a bit of a goal, a bit of an ambition.
I know I'm laughing, but I just realised something. I'm just taking a picture of it. The way that you are appearing on the screen now.
Yeah.
You look like Leo Sayer. It looks like you've got a mass of dark
it does, really.
hair.
Yeah, I'm all right with that. But it is the flicker images of two flicker images of you above me, which is a bit disconcerting.
That is such a good pic. Such a brilliant picture of you as Leo Sayer. I'm definitely putting that on the Instagram.
That's going on social media, is it?
It's going on Instagram. That is fantastic. Oh dear, you could do a rendition of Get Down or Claire or something like that, and that
was Gilbert O'Sullivan.
Oh well, who did I say? Leo Sayer.
Leo Sayer, yeah.
You do look a bit like Gilbert O'Sullivan as well.
Either one of those. Yeah, they're both.
Sayer, what was he? What did he do?
He did lots of stuff, didn't he?
I know. I can't think of any.
I can't think of it at the moment, but he did.
Maybe he'll come up in One Day in This Day in Music.
I Can't Let the Show Go On. That was him.
It was, yeah. Is he still alive, Leo Sayer?
I think he is. I think he writes quite prolifically for other artists, doesn't he?
Does he?
Mm.
Just how old do you reckon he is?
I reckon he's probably 72.
Oh, that's pretty good. He's 74.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
we get off of Leo Sayer.
Yeah, Get Down.
Get Down. That was Gilbert.
That's Gilbert O'Sullivan.
How do we fix lack of motivation? All right.
I don't know. I can't be bothered to think about it.
No, you can't. Well, you've already answered some of these, or you've doffed your cap in the direction of some of these points already. The first one was breaking tasks down into manageable chunks.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. I mentioned chunking down, didn't I?
You did. You did.
I think it's an NLP phrase, but it does mean that it's just jargony way of saying if something's difficult, think of how you can break it down into manageable steps.
I think I used the illustration last week of I tend to do my tax return. I'll do that in chunks because it just seems a little bit too daunting. So I'll get all my expenses together and then I'll get, the income and that sort of thing and put it, and then gradually I'll get it all ready and then I'll go online and complete it when I've completed the tasks outside of what I need to do.
That's right. Yeah, that's it. I remember you saying that, and then me saying I don't chunk mine down. I just give it to an accountant.
That's it. And I said, we're not all rich enough to have accountants working for us. So I can remember some of what we talked about last week.
You make me feel like dancing. That was Leo Sayer.
Yeah. Okay. Are you Googling Leo Sayer tracks now?
No. It just came into my head. I don't mean you make me feel like dancing.
No, thank you. We'll go on to the next point then, shall we?
Yep.
Giving yourself credit for small things you do. So practicing mindfulness basically can help with your motivation.
Right. Giving yourself credit for small things you do. Okay. Yeah, again, I'd say that is probably more helpful in terms of your willpower. It kind of helps, gives you energy. But I'm sure there is an angle there in terms of, the more encouraging you are to yourself, the kinder you are to yourself, the easier it will be for you to both imagine where you want to get to and probably more importantly, feel like you're worth it.
I think so. And it comes on to also having some we always talk about balance. We talk about it a lot, don't we, through all our episodes. Balance comes up a lot. Having some me time. So take some time to do things you enjoy, like getting out in nature. And because I know when I feel overwhelmed or if I feel like there's a big task coming up, just having a walk beforehand can clear your head a lot before you start cracking on with it. Yeah. Just making sure that the task you're looking at or tasks don't take up 100% of the time. You've got to have a balance in your life.
Yeah, I think this is probably, yes. So I think this is related to that point. In order to find the motivation for something, it's important that it is congruent with your life. It needs to fit with your life.
Yes.
So, for example, you might want to do something and you might really feel passionate about doing something that's going to take an inordinate amount of your life in terms of time. But it might be that because that doesn't fit with the way your life is, you won't be able to find the motivation to do it. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
So when you kind of struggling for motivation, you're thinking, well, I really want to do this, but I don't seem to be able to get moving on it. One of the things it's worth considering is that maybe it just doesn't fit with the way your life looks. And then you've got two choices. You can either rearrange things in your life to try and make it fit, or you can say, no, it's just not the right time to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, which is quite, I think we've all faced those decisions in the past and they can be quite exhausting thinking about it.
Well, I think you gave the example last time about how, when you first come into recovery, you probably need to clear the decks and just do recovery for a bit.
Yeah, you do very much. Yeah, it is.
So that's an example of that. You're creating the congruence in your life to enable you to do something that you are motivated to do. So it's not. I suppose what I'm saying is, having a powerful why on its own isn't enough. You've got to create the conditions under which the why can be achieved.
Right. Okay. Yeah, you're right. I'd forgotten I'd mentioned that, and it is a good point. It is in the first early months of recovery, it's got to be 100% recovery, and then you can get your balance back after that. Start to move into that balance period when it's when you've started to conquer the initial issues that you've had.
Yeah. Being
gentle with yourself. So that came up in the research. So sort of accepting the current state of how you feel. So if you do feel demotivated, accept that. Acknowledge that feeling and start practicing the self-care and be gentle with yourself and say this happens to me. It happens to lots of people. Before you can then start to move on when you realize it's not something which is just you. Which again, us addicts have felt that often when we first go into recovery. You think it's just us that has the issues, and all of a sudden you're not on your own. There's lots of other people with exactly the same issue and the same demons. You start to be a little more easier on yourself then.
Yeah. I think that's right. You know, if you're very critical about your inability to find the motivation for something, you don't make that motivation easier to find. You make it, you push it away from yourself. So you're right. If something's a struggle, it's quite often best to do what feels counterintuitive, which is to be kind to yourself and say, okay, what's going on here? Rather than, oh, come on, for fuck's sake, sort yourself out. It's not very helpful.
It's very unhelpful. But talking of help, I think the biggest point that when I looked at this, I was looking, it came up about asking for help. And I thought, yes, that's so true. And it reminded me of, we've talked about the book and the film before called The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse by Charles Mackesy. I think we're both quite big fans of that. And I remember I watched the film again recently. There's a little extract in there that says, what's the bravest thing you've ever said? Asked the boy. Help, said the horse. Asking for help isn't giving up, it's refusing to give up.
Yeah.
And I think that's right, isn't it? I mean, asking for help, for example, like asking for help, going to therapy or, going to peer support groups. It is, you're not giving up, you're refusing to give up. I'm not going to let this beat me. I'm going to get this sorted out.
Yeah, in some ways, asking for help is about willpower, but it's also about clearly defining the why. Sometimes, I'm sure this is the same in peer support. Sometimes people come into therapy and, I might ask them at the start of the work we do, what do you want to achieve from the work we do together? And quite often people say, I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And, they're kind of fearful of saying that. They feel a bit ashamed of saying it. And I'm pleased that they are honest enough to be able to say that, because then part of the work of therapy becomes the clarifying the motivation. Let's clarify the why between us. And it's okay. You don't have to know that. You can kind of work yourself towards it. And it is one of the benefits, I think, of asking for support and getting other people involved.
Yeah, it is. A quote that follows on from that, really, which sort of winds up my notes, which goes like this: every accomplishment starts with the decision to try. So that it's getting over that fear factor, isn't it, and finding that why that you've been mentioning.
Yeah, didn't I come up with a quote here? I said I read a quote on the ceiling of an osteopath's clinic, which said, "You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start in order to be great."
Yeah.
And I still don't know who said it, but it's true, and it's
you can't like
it's an echo of the point you've just made. Isn't it?
It is, but it's stuck with you, isn't it?
It has stuck with me, yeah. Now you're flashing on the screen as well.
No, I haven't got me flashing on the screen.
No, I've got you flashing intermittently, and so one moment you are a bespectacled Leo Sayer, and the next minute it's like you back in the room.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? There's something going on there. So the Zoom updates really haven't done us any favours, but so I'm not grateful for that. But what I'm grateful for,
nice.
Well, I haven't changed it because I'm still quite grateful for it. I've just always been quite in awe of people that can weld. So on my gratitude list is welders. Do you remember? I mean, my dad used to do a lot of welding, and it always used to fascinate me. If you look, you can still see the gates that he made all these years later on along the road from where you live now at number 28. The gates are still there that my dad made.
Yes, it's got a 28 in it, hasn't it?
He integrated it in. So it took him ages to do the two gates, the front gate and the one that led round to the back garden. And he welded them, and it took him forever, but the result was fantastic. But I just think welding, I've never tried it, but it looks difficult.
Yeah. It looks scary.
It does, doesn't it?
It's quite hot, isn't it? You wouldn't get your finger, you wouldn't get your hand in there, would you?
No, and you have to hold up one of those shields in front of you, a mask in front of your face.
Yeah, you look like it makes you look like a Doctor Who monster.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. My brother can weld, but no, it's certainly not something that I would. I mean, obviously, if you could weld, you could have welded your car back together.
I could have done it.
That's where it came up, wasn't it?
It's like big boy soldering, isn't it? Really, welding.
Yeah, I'm not sure I was ever very good at soldering. That sort of stuff is not really my bag.
No, it's not, is it? No.
Yeah, I'd like to be able to weld, but I wouldn't have the motivation to go and learn.
No, you wouldn't. And you think, how often would you need to use that skill? But and now few and far, when you're trying to find a welder, not many about these days,
aren't there?
No, they're not. It's quite a niche market, really, because people don't tend, when it gets to the point where their car needs a bit of welding done on it, they throw it away, scrap it, and buy a new one.
They don't cut and shut it like they used to.
They don't like that picture you sent me, which is sort of a lorry for the front half, and the back half was an old Hillman Imp or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I felt that enough time had passed since your disappointment about your car for me to be able to take the piss.
Yes, and we talked about that before, didn't we? Having that time lapse.
Exactly.
Which makes it acceptable to take the piss out of someone.
Yeah, when you said that your car failed the MOT and it needed to be welded back together and it might be on its last legs, I did have the presence of mind not at that point to take the piss.
Exactly right. I think that can be very demotivational. I think last week I talked about we have this rule at work when one of us gets pissed off or upset or makes a mistake and gets a bit grumpy and you really want to take the piss, and we leave it a day. We have a day's grace before we take the piss out of each other. Yeah, which makes it easier to deal with then.
I think it's come with age though, isn't it? Because you haven't always been like that. It's funny, I was watching, I don't know if you ever watch the comedy Two Doors Down. Have you ever seen it?
I have, yeah.
Well, I was watching an episode, I think it's the second episode of the last series, where Colin's wife has left him.
Yeah.
And Christine comes in and she's told, look, Colin's in a very fragile state. Don't mention Kathy because he's very upset. And she nods and she says, yeah, fine. And she comes in and the very first thing she says to him is, oh, so she's left you, has she? And it reminded me of when we went into the Queen Anne many years ago when one of our friends had just been dumped.
Oh, yeah.
And I said to you, don't say anything to him because he's really upset about it. And you walked through the pub door, saw him, and the very first thing you said was, all right, I hear you've been blown out badly.
There was an elephant in the room. I wanted to clear that.
So watching that episode of Two Doors Down, I thought, yeah, I relate to that. I remember that happening.
I'd probably
it's very funny in retrospect, but at the time, actually, it's probably funny at the time, but I just didn't feel I could laugh.
No, I think I'm a little bit more discreet now. You're right. I think age has given me the wisdom to deal with that slightly differently.
You've been blown out badly. I'll never forget that. That's one of my lifetime memories. Anyway, do you want me to tell you what I'm grateful for?
Yes, I do. And you've changed it. You said from last week.
Last week it was baths.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not having that this week because it's I don't know. I haven't felt so fond of a bath this week. But what I have been very pleased about this week is slippers.
Slippers? Oh, yeah, okay.
Right. Because, I like a slipper. I like a warm foot, and I don't want to wear my socks out because I've got a lot of floorboards in my house. But when Nellie arrived, the puppy, she's not quite such a puppy now, she just ate all my slippers.
Okay, yeah.
I had several pairs and she just chewed them all up. And it got to the point where I thought there's no point buying new ones because she'll just chew them up. But now she's got a little bit older, a little bit wiser. I thought I'm going to invest in some new slippers. And I bought some this week. I bought myself 2 pairs, actually.
Did you?
And it's been delightful walking around the house with warm feet and not worrying about snagging my socks. So
no, slippers are good. But in fact, I've sort of moved on because, as you know, I wear a pair of indoor shoes as I call them indoor shoes. Well, they're slip-on trainer, cotton trader ones.
Why? Why though? Why
Because-
indoor shoes instead of slippers? What's
Because
the point of that?
they're so much more hard wearing, and they're just as soft. These ones, they're lovely.
Why do you need hard wearing footwear indoors?
Because slippers, for some reason, slippers they get sloppy and they're often furry on the inside and they get smelly and they're just nasty things. Really, they're not good. I agree. I like a warm foot, but I don't.
Yeah, I don't really put my bare feet in a slipper.
No, never. No, and you can't do that at all.
Well, people do, don't they? I think a lot of people put their bare feet in a slipper. I suppose I'd put my bare feet in a slipper if I just had a shower or a bath, but I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't come in from work and take my socks off, put my slippers on, because that's not right, is it?
It's not right. It's not right. No, I think. But and again, slippers have always been quite big in my life. I remember it as children, we always used to have slippers, but they used to have that little thin rubber sole on them. They used to always, as time went on, they used to pull off and they used to wear out. And,
yeah, it used to be lovely writing with a biro on the.
You could write
a slipper.
We did. Myself and my two brothers obviously used to write awful stuff on the bottom of each other's slippers.
But my mum used to get really angry about that because she said, and I can understand it now, I didn't understand it at the time. She used to say, "You'll be treading biro all over the house."
I suppose if it got wet, that would happen. Yeah. It didn't. So we didn't seem to tread it on the carpets and stuff. But it's just when you sat on the sofa and lifted your foot up, you had a message on there.
Can you remember any?
Not that they're not repeatable, but I'll probably, if I could think of some, but they wouldn't be right for this episode.
Very good. All right.
Anyway, so that's our gratitude sorted out on this day, or daysoftheyear.com.
Yeah.
Again, I had to change them because last week it would have been National English Toffee Day and National Bubble Bath Day, which led into we was talking about your gratitude. But this week there's a couple there here. Freshly squeezed juice day. Now, it always used to fascinate me. You remember those things you can get where you can squeeze all the juice out of an orange, sort of sat on the side with a. Did you used to have one at home? It used to be a manual thing. You used to screw down the orange onto the top.
Yeah, of course I've got one of those. Everyone's got one of those, and they're juice.
Well, I thought they were a thing of the past. I certainly haven't got one.
How do you get your juice out of if you want to juice a few oranges? How would you do that?
I go to Tesco's and buy orange juice. Job done. Yeah. But no, I think freshly squeezed juice is nice, isn't it? There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Of course I've got one of those. You know, what the hell do you do if you want to make preserved lemons?
Yeah, sure, I want to do that.
You know, if you've got to juice about a dozen lemons,
yeah,
you need a bloody juicer.
Yeah, no, go and buy lemon juice. I mean, no, because you also need the peel if you're making preserved lemons, don't you? Next you'll be telling me you've never made preserved lemons. No one has, apart from you. Anyway, what's the other one? National Hat Day.
Oh well.
No, you like a hat when you go out, don't you? You like a woolly hat.
I will never be without a hat between sort of October and April.
No.
I cannot understand. I know I bang on about this. I cannot understand anyone in the cold weather who goes out without a hat. Just madness, as far as I'm concerned.
I wear one when it's wintry, but I don't wear hats very often. But absolutely always wear a hat. You lose a lot of your flipping body heat through your head. I don't want to be. I don't like feeling cold. I've got worse about that as I've got older, but I don't like it. So I'm bang up for National Wear a Hat Day. National Hat Day, yeah.
Yeah, excellent.
Okay, on this day in music then, in 2002, Adam Ant was arrested for pulling a gun upon staff in a London pub.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, I remember it. When I looked, I thought, I remember that, 2002, so it's 20 years ago. But I think he was arrested, but I think he had mental health issues, didn't he, at that time? And he got the appropriate help, which I think was a reason to put that one down.
Yeah, we're not suggesting that if you've got mental health issues, it's okay to pull a gun on people, though.
No, exactly right. But he got the help that was needed, that's for sure. And Dolores O'Riordan died. Remember the singer of the Cranberries? Now,
crikey, is that long ago?
That was in 2018.
I was going to say, crikey, if that was 2002, blimey.
No, 2018. I mean, she apparently she drowned in the bath, didn't she? Where she had too much to drink. And
Oh, I
drunk
didn't know
and
that.
stuff.
I didn't know that.
But I think it's a little bit mysterious how she died. But a sad loss.
Yeah.
Sad loss.
How do you feel about cranberries?
What, the group or the?
No, the fruit.
The fruit. I like them.
Yeah. Do you like cranberry juice?
I do like cranberry juice. Yeah, I like it.
You couldn't juice a cranberry on one of those orange juicers.
No, you couldn't.
Yeah,
no,
I've also got a juicer, an electric one.
Yeah, well, that makes more sense.
Yeah, where you can put all in fact, you can put anything in it.
Yeah,
juice it up for you. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got from Dolores O'Riordan to that, but still.
No, what the cranberries really?
Yeah,
that was the link, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that was it. Oh, there was. Do you remember the group N Dubs?
Yeah.
Well, they were in 2010. They were dropped by. They were ambassadors for an anti-bullying charity.
Yeah.
They were dropped because Dappy, who was in the group, he sent a woman a series of threatening text messages, sort of bullying her. So that it wasn't really appropriate in the end, was it?
No, he wasn't really. He wasn't behaving congruently with his.
Exactly right.
His stance. That's interesting. I took our children to see N Dubs once, and I'm pretty sure it was Beth who didn't feel very well and came out and had to sit with me in the car. And I remember thinking to myself, yeah, if I had to go and see N Dubs, I don't think I'd feel very well either.
No, quite. But
anyway.
Just as a sign of the times, in 1967, going back a little bit there, Rolling Stones, they were on the Ed Sullivan Show. Remember the Ed Sullivan Show in the US?
Yeah.
Because we still see clips of it now, don't we? Sort of black and white little clips there. They were doing "Let's Spend the Night Together," that track, but they had to change the lyrics on that to "Let's Spend Some Time Together," which made me laugh because it just shows you how gentle we were back in the 60s on that sort of
thing. You could spend the night together back in the 60s. One of you could sleep on the sofa, surely.
Well, exactly, yeah. Sorry, my phone keeps ringing and it won't stop.
Well, that's not very good. You're introducing technical issues now.
I am.
Right. Is that it? Because
it is.
Banged on for far too long this morning.
We have, and I need to answer this phone call.
All right. I'll see you later.
See you later. Bye.
Laters. Bye. Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work or sort through the extensive archive of past episodes, just visit grahamlandywellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Sideways Podcast, and you can email us if you have a question or if there's something you'd like us to cover. But most of all, we want to tell you how grateful we are that you come and listen, and we ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week.